Hi boys and girls, welcome back to another STEAM lesson. We are still in our Cool It week where we're talking all about really cold objects and energy transference. So the last time we were together, we talked about how to transfer our energy to some ice to try and melt out my frozen penguin. This time we're going to talk about how we can keep that heat in. So we're going to talk about insulation. We're going to look at a couple of different animals that have really cool adaptations that have helped them live in really cold areas. So that comes from a book called What If You Had Animal Hair?
We're going to look at just a few pages from this book by Sandra Markle. We're looking at animals that live in really cold areas to see how they adapt to those areas. If you're interested in more animals, I really recommend you check this book out from the library or find it at your local bookstore. The first animal we're going to look at is a polar bear. A polar bear has a double coat of hair to keep it warm. There's a woolly undercoat close to the bear's skin. Above that is a top coat made of a 6-inch long, stiff, oil-coated hairs. A polar bear's hair looks as white as Arctic snow because the top coat hairs are hollow and clear. They reflect the light just like snow. So if you had hair like polar bear hair, you would have 2 layers of hair, and the top layer would have really, really long hairs that are covered in oil to help keep you warm. The next animal we're going to look at is a reindeer. A reindeer has a double coat too. It also has a lot of hair, as many as 5,000 outer hairs per square inch of skin. That's a lot of hairs. Each long, stiff outer hair has a hollow core. These hairs trap air. In addition to keeping the reindeer warm, its hair helps this heavy animal float in the water. That's pretty cool. So if you had hair like reindeer, you would have a lot of hair in a really small area, and it said that having some hollow space helped trap some of the air, so that might help keep you warm too. The last animal we're going to look at is the Arctic fox. An Arctic fox's hair is snow white in winter. Each hair is also fat, helping make its coat thick and warm. As the days grow longer and heat up, an Arctic fox sheds its wintertime hair and grows a new brown coat. Now each hair is skinny, helping make its coat thin and keeping the fox from overheating. Besides staying comfortable, changing its coat keeps an Arctic fox perfectly colored to sneak up on prey such as lemmings and voles. So what that tells me is that when it gets colder, the Arctic fox changes its hair to help insulate its body better. What it changes is instead of thin hairs, it has really fat hairs, and it keeps his coat really thick and warm. All 3 animals had different types of hair or fur to help keep them warm. So that tells me that we can have lots of different types of insulators that would help keep things warm or keep the heat or coolness from escaping.
We just looked at some animals that have really cool adaptations that help them live in super cold areas. So for example, the polar bear has those really long hairs that are coated in oil to help them stay warm. And then the reindeer has all of those little hairs in one tiny area, so they're packed really close together. And then we learned about how the Arctic fox's hairs are really thick. So we're going to use some of those principles today to try and find things in our house that would keep us really warm when holding a piece of cold ice. So the first thing I have is a glove. So you probably have some cold weather gear in your house that can keep you warm when you go outside and it's snowing or just really cold outside. So if I put a glove on my hand and I hold an ice cube, I can barely feel it. If I try to hold that same ice cube in my other hand, whew, it is cold. So I'm gonna put that down because my hand was already getting really cold, whereas you can see this one, it still feels just fine. So this is something that you have that's actually made to withstand cold temperatures. What I would like you to do is I would like you to think about other things you have in your house that might protect you from cold temperatures. Another example I have are these down feathers. So obviously feathers come from birds and lots of birds live in really cold areas. When I put these feathers in my hand, I can put an ice cube in my hand and again, I barely even can tell that it's there, whereas my other hand is freezing cold from holding this ice cube. Your challenge this week is to look around your house and think about some different objects that you might have lying around that could be like an adaptation for cold weather. You want these objects to insulate your hand, so to protect your hand from an ice cube. So these objects could be anything that you can find. I'm really excited to see what you come up with, because I think, just thinking about it right now, I can think of a lot of things in my house that would help protect me from the cold. This week we talked all about insulation. So just like last week when we talked about heat transference and energy transference, we kind of flipped that around this week. So this week we talked about, instead of transferring our heat out, how can we keep it in? So we also looked at animal adaptations, and we looked at the ways that they can stay warm even when they live in really cold temperatures. Your challenge this week is to find objects in your house and use them to see if they can insulate your skin against something cold like an ice cube. What I want you to do is I want you to keep a list of all the things that you try, and then I want you to sort them. So things that are good insulators and things that are not good insulators. And we're going to use this next week, so make sure you keep that list, and I'll see you next time.